Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. The Woodpreneur podcast is proudly sponsored by Acres CRM. Acres CRM is the wood industry's only customer relationship management software dedicated to helping you automate your sales and marketing so that you can focus on serving your customers and growing your business. You can visit acresoftimber.com to learn more and to schedule a demo. Once again, that's acresoftimber.com. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. Is your host, Steve. Today's guest is Bud Farmer, who's the owner of Forrest Design Company. How you doing, Bud?
I'm good, Steve, man. How are you?
I'm great. So before we hopped on, I was just saying that I love your, you're one of the few people that takes the time to show the whole entire process in a reel. And I love your stuff. I love the choice of music, your vibe, and it's a mix between you and your process. So why don't you tell everybody that your backstory? What's the origin story? Like, how did you get started?
Yeah, oh man, how far back do you want to go?
To the moment when you first decided that you wanted to start this business.
Yeah, so I started the business in September of 18. But leading up to that, I was lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, until maybe 2014, and got back. And my family, or my dad, was always a builder, and that was just kind of in my blood. It was just kind of always around. And
you're in Texas, right?
Here in Texas, I grew up in Texas. Grew up in Jacksonville, Texas, and so he had his construction business, and he passed away when I was 20. So then I took over the business, just kind of jumped in full force. And then it was a heavy load, for sure. And then years down the road, my wife and I moved to Fort Collins, kind of got out of that scene, didn't have anything to do with building. And then cut to 2014, moved back and got back into building. Wasn't crazy about it. Enjoyed the whole scene, the lumber and working with wood and things like that. But ultimately, I kind of figured I want to try to get into the woodworking business. And maybe in 2017, I really started thinking I might give it a go. And then September of 18, I just kind of jumped into it. Didn't know it'd be a full-time job, and it wasn't there for a while. But
you were building side hustle style still,
yep.
or
yeah. So I, really the shop was the side hustle. I still had some homes going, and but then over like a year or so, I was like, man, I think this might be able to be a full-time job, and so I started taking less and less construction jobs on, and then over maybe 2 years, I was just kind of out of it, and then it, started being sustained by the woodworking and continue to push that. And currently I do have a construction project going on, but I went maybe 2 years without anything. And then I took this one on. He's a friend, know him really well. So got kind of suckered back into that one. But no, I'm happy to be doing it for him. But I think after this, it could potentially be over. I think I'm going to 100% go with woodworking and continue to grow it, and hopefully make it work. It's been doing pretty well for me.
I mean, you've been doing it since 2018, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's pretty good. And you've only had to take on one construction project, right? During that time.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. So talk to me about, like, what do you mainly sell? What are your product services?
It started out, well, I put one charcuterie board out. I did not know that charcuterie boards would just go crazy, so at the start of it, 2018 to, 2021, it was a ton of charcuterie boards and cutting boards. And, the table would come by, I'd say every like 4 or 5 months, I'd get a table, something bigger that I would really enjoy. And pretty much later to, the second half of 21 and into 22, it's been like all furniture. I mean, a handful of cutting boards, but it's been a good transition into larger projects and less small things, which still love doing the small things. I hope I'll always do that, but it's been more of dining tables. Got into a lot of conference tables and coffee tables and end tables, but yeah,
The stuff that you do that I've seen are pretty big. A lot of those conference tables, the big stuff.
yeah, pretty big. I think I did one that was maybe 16 foot long, 16 foot by 4 foot. It was
Wow.
kind of loaded down with all kind of chargers and outlets and things like that. That's probably been the largest one I've done.
You
Couple
get
of 12 footers.
use do you get the what's that, the market stuff?
What is it?
The market, what's the guy's name with the charger, the company that provides the charger? What
Oh
are they
yeah.
called?
So I used Invisici.
Invisici.
In
Okay,
I don't
okay,
even know
okay.
how that's Inviski maybe, but it was great. It was like a long distance charger, so I
Okay.
can go through a thick piece of wood,
Yeah.
um, and it worked great. A little nerve wracking putting 8 of them in there, but
Yeah.
it worked. So it was such a relief whenever things worked
You
out
know, I
nicely.
honestly, I feel like I don't know why more people aren't doing that. Like loading, it's like you take this beautiful piece of furniture and then you blend it with technology. I feel
Sure.
like
Yeah.
I I actually recently thought of, somebody steal this idea. And
Yeah.
you can feel free to take this idea. Oh, not you, anybody that's listening.
Sure.
It like, why aren't people making like a line of conference tables or a line of desk with the chargers inside, right? Like,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it's with all this work from home stuff,
Hmm.
and companies wanting, even if companies are going back, like, I mean, you sell conference tables, you see people want a very big statement piece, right? Like
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
they want something that when they're closing a deal, it's like, boom, right there.
I
Um,
Yeah, you're totally right. People want that statement piece for sure.
people, because it signifies power and relationships and, like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So like, um and it's often the centerpiece of a business, right? I mean, obviously in a home too, but like, have you, so between dining and conference, what do you sell most of?
I've probably sold more dining tables. I've
Okay.
done 4 conference tables, um, but for the most part, it's dining tables. Conference tables have been kind of new. Kind of a more happening in this last maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
um so where are you sourcing your lumber from? Because I looked on a map where you are, and
Yeah,
I
so
don't think there's a lot of salvage trees happening that part of Texas, right?
not too many. Lately, man, I've been getting a ton of really fortunate enough to get some good stuff from Gobi Walnut lately, and that's
Okay.
been awesome. I've gotten quite a few slabs from them lately. Everything I've gotten from them has just been, man, over the top and super good.
They're on another level in terms of what they have, their access, right? Yeah.
It's pretty insane. Yeah, I mean, relatively new into this. I mean, I've gotten my hands on some slabs, but whenever I started getting from them, it was just like, whoa, these are these are good. The figure and everything in them are pretty unbelievable. I think just you can tell, not that other people don't um, dry them properly and things like that, but they put some care into these things. So yeah.
Hmm. So you're like in this class of woodworker that you're selling tables at enough margin that you can import Gobi walnut. There's like,
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of luckily cracked into a good clientele that
I know, because it's funny too, because like and I talk to a lot of woodpreneurs, And there's like, there's the folks that get like the local salvage, which is great, but local salvage is awesome for the story. However, they be able to attract to be able to sort of import domestically like some species that it's not even local, but it's just really beautiful.
Sure.
It's still salvaged, right? It's still salvaged, but
exactly.
it's in a different part of the country.
Maybe just not local.
Like, I mean, there's another guy, I think Spire Woodwork. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there are a couple folks that I know. It's like, it's less about what's available, but more about the quality and the character and the care, which kind of, I think speaks to your particular style, right? Like how did you develop your own sense of style? And whether you know it or not, I think you have a brand, right?
Yeah. When I started the business, that was kind of my number one. Well, I guess in a sense, that was my number one goal, is to success or fail. I'm going all in on quality. I don't want to put a lot of products out there that I'm not happy with. I want everything to go out the door that I'm super excited about, that I'm proud of. And, a lot of that is finding the right wood, I mean, you can definitely make a lot of cool stuff with lumber around, but whenever you can get to that wood that has the figure, those slabs that have, can kind of speak for themselves, man, that really starts setting things apart. So that was kind of a goal, when I started this, was, man, let's go for it. Let's get good quality stuff, that it might be hard to start. I was in a good position to where I wasn't my wife has a job, so, I wasn't the only provider in the family, which, don't get me wrong, we needed an income for me as well. I mean, but it wasn't a sole income, so I had the luxury to kind of say no to certain projects. I didn't want to morph into just another cabinet shop, and so it was tough. It was hard to turn down some jobs that didn't speak to me, but it happened a lot the first year. And it was kind of a constant reminder, like, no, I'm wanting to do this for a certain style. I'm wanting to build like a brand, like you said, and just kind of constantly reminding myself and pushing myself in that direction, I think has really been good for me, and ultimately got me to where I am, and the projects that I have coming in.
And speaking of, how do clients find you? Is it social media? Are you doing any word of mouth?
Yeah. So social media has been huge, and also word of mouth. I like you said, you looked at the map of where I'm from, it's a small town. We have about 15 to 20,000 people in the town. So, and I grew up here, like I said.
How much is it local? Is it local? A lot of local sales?
When it started, the smaller things, there was a lot of local. Now I would say it's probably like 20% local, everything else outside of Jacksonville,
Texas or United States?
I would say 90% Texas. There's still a handful of things that kind of go out, out of state, but for the most part, that's the smaller things, very rare. Or actually, I haven't sent any tables out of state, but
yeah, well, Texas is its own country. You can there's enough money in Texas for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
there's literally not enough. There's not enough woodworkers to service the amount of people that need tables and furniture in Texas.
Yeah, and it's going crazy right now. I mean, Texas in general is blowing up.
So you're near Dallas, right? Like a couple hours from Dallas.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, a few hours from Dallas.
More Houston.
About 3 hours, and Austin maybe 3.5 or 4.
So you're like 3 hours between 3 major cities.
Yeah, I'm just kind of right in the center almost. Yeah.
What do you so social media, is it like people finding you, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. People, yeah, I mean, you know how social media is, it just kind of branches out, and
yeah,
then, you get, a lot of, somewhat of the challenges with social media are, um, you get a lot of inquiries, but it's more
the
just like,
conversion.
hey man, how much does that table cost? So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
having to constantly not really filter. I mean, I treat everyone's inquiries the same, but there's a lot of legwork, um, kind of going through social media, but ultimately it's been huge, man. I really don't think I could have at least built it to this point without social media. I mean, I could have built the business, I think, especially locally, but I don't think I could have gotten a lot of the projects that I've gotten over the years without social media. Predominantly Instagram. That's kind of been my thing.
Hey, could talk through your content create, because you seem to like the level of your content is really good,
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah, thanks for
Like
saying
what, how do you, like, what's your process? I mean, is it like a
that.
lot of, just
Yeah,
because
it's so.
I see the way you create content,
Mhm.
and um do you have something in mind as you are creating or something, and then you later on, like, could you walk through that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so whenever reels started happening, and I kind of noticed that more and more people were interested in the whole process, not just like a step here and a step there. Honestly, that's when it became a little. It kind of opened the doors a bit to, um, you know, by no means I'm not a major editor or anything like that. I mean, it's honestly all iPhone. Like everything's kind of done on my iPhone. But I kind of have a vision when I start the project, but for the most part, sometimes you get in a little bit of a lull. You're like, oh man, how do I make this different? How do I keep people interested? And when I get in that mindset, it's just kind of like, let me just keep going through the process, keep filming, and
You
then
know what?
whenever I.
I think you're absolutely right. I feel like, I think as business owners with slight ADD, that we feel like we always need to keep it interesting and different.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, I have a client that they make their sawmill, and they have just blown up by strictly showing milling videos.
Really?
Right. It's the
Yeah,
same thing over and over and over
sure.
again. And which kind of tells me, like, looking at their growth, I mean, it's like 1,500 to 1,000 a day, right? Like in
Wow.
terms of growth.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I think about is, like, I think, like in anything in life, consistency is the best. So like if you can continue to show like a process from start to finish, and that's your
Mhm.
thing, and then, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, because I've seen your stuff, and I was like, oh, that's really freaking cool. Like, you literally show the whole process, and it's not like you need to sit there and edit, because the tools are there for you to do it,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean, all it is time lapse on my iPhone. Sometimes videos sped up. Um, but it's, you have the tools that it's not too complicated these days to make a decent video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's been a challenge so far in growing your business? Because it's still you, or do you have a team?
Yeah. So it's just me currently. I had a guy that was working for me that was awesome. He was amazing. I kind of got to that point to where, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this, where, after the bills are paid, it's like, where's the money, man? And I think that's a challenge and an obstacle for not only new businesses, but businesses in general, is just paying the bills and having a little bit of profit at the end. So, I kind of got to that point where I kind of wanted to just give it a shot on my own and see if potentially, I could have a little bit better profit margin without an employee. And it's been great. At times it's been tough, like moving these huge slabs. It's like, okay, how's this going to happen today? So I'll have to call a buddy in or something like that to help me flip the slab. But I am actually, with all that said, about to get him back part-time. I have a project in the works and I'm super excited about. So a retail space. So you know, I'm going to get him back to help me kind of stock up and keep that on board or keep that going. And yeah.
Cool. And then what's been the most rewarding thing so far of doing your business?
You know, I think, you know, just getting more and more projects coming in the door. It's always so nerve-wracking. You know, these are short-term projects, you know. So, you know, in the building industry, it was like, okay, this can last me 6 to 8 months, potentially a year. But with this, you know, business, it's like you can't survive off of one project, you know. You have to have multiple coming through the door. So, you know, honestly, you know, I know it sounds cheesy, but just continually having the projects coming in the door, you know, which ultimately is
It's a good feeling, right?
yeah,
It's a
you
good
know, it's a
feeling to
sign of
know.
trust
Yeah.
and a sign of that the community supporting you and that, you know, you're making it in a sense, you know. So you know, that's the most rewarding thing, I guess, you know. You know, I got to add one more thing, but being able to give back is
Yeah, I was about
huge,
to ask you that. You're
man.
part of 1% of the planet, and
Yeah, one tree
one tree
planted.
plant, one tree planted, and 1%.
Yeah,
Why'd you join those?
you know, I've always kind of been connected to nature in some sort of fashion, and that seems like it's been kind of getting stronger and stronger as I age. You know, I have 2 kids now. I don't know if it's with the kids or what, but you know, I've just felt this really deep connection. And whenever I started the business, I kind of added that into the business plan, saying like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I had no interest in doing it unless I can somehow give back, make it a
Yeah.
better place, you know, have some sort of positivity come out of this business aside from a profit. You know, it needs to create some sort of good in the world more than me, you know, more than just myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. You know what? You literally just reminded me that I wanted to do that too.
Yeah.
I wanted to be part of One Tree Planet. Like I literally wanted,
Awesome.
so I'm going to join. So
Sweet, man. That's awesome.
I'm
Good
going to
news.
donate. I'm going to donate today to One Tree
That's
Planet.
great. Heck yeah. Glad to hear that.
I just, you know, for what we do, right? Like as
Mhm.
wood companies, we
Sure.
should definitely be giving back. You know,
Yeah, that's
and
super important.
and and I feel like it's also one of the things that enables folks to, I mean, not just a marketing, but a feel good. And you know, like I went to this conference in Vegas the other day, and at the conference they brought on this thing called Operation Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of ex-CIA like and special forces folks
Oh,
that
wow.
rescue kids from sex trafficking around
No
the
way.
world.
Wow.
It was heavy. It was like,
I
and you
bet,
know, as
man.
having kids myself, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, so I donated a bunch of money to them. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I forgot as a business owner, that's what you can do. And I
Yeah.
feel like you shouldn't really be stingy with your money. Like if it's, you know,
Yeah.
paying your bills and giving
Yeah.
back. And if it's not through money, then you could donate product and raise
Yeah.
money. Cause we
For
have
sure.
that. We have access to all this lumber,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
That we should be giving back,
Uh-huh.
because it's like mother nature provides for us, right?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
enables us to make a living,
For
that
sure.
we should definitely give back. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up, because you
Yeah,
totally
man.
remind me.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, there's a you know what ultimately led me into this, you know, I listened to a good podcast, and sorry to get off on a tangent, but I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but he's the creator of Maine Beer Company. And I listened to a podcast, a 1% for the Planet podcast with him. And it was basically, now he went next level. Everything he put into his business dollar wise, say $4,000 on our new fermenter, he would put $4,000 in a sustainable, like making it more sustainable. And so that's his whole business model. I thought that was
Wow,
pretty
that's
crazy.
cool.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
tough to
yeah,
do for sure, but
Yeah, I definitely may, and because I have a software called Acres CRM, and so I was thinking about like every lead that comes in. I don't know. I'm just like I'll match $1 for every lead that comes in from all of the businesses, so that the more
Yeah. Wow.
businesses come, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
then I can make a big donation at the end of the year.
That's awesome, man.
Um,
Way to go.
Cool. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm on
Yeah.
their website right now. One Tree Planted. I feel like
Awesome.
everybody should be part of this, right? Like if you own a wood business, you should be part of One Tree Planted or
You
1%
know, I
of the
mean,
planet.
I've never, I try to never be the guy that preaches, you know, by any
Yeah.
means, but you know, it ultimately, for high quality furniture, high quality wood products, you know, like throwing out $1 for a tree you know, it's really not a big deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Literally, it's
You
not
know,
that big of
so
a deal.
yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is a part of the interview where I give you any marketing or business advice. So is there anything that you need to work through or challenges or marketing ideas that you have that you'd
Yeah.
like my head on?
You know, I think my new challenge right now, like I mentioned briefly, I just bought a building with a buddy of mine downtown. We're
That's right. I saw
creating.
that. Congrats.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So it's basically going to be a retail showroom space of mine, intermingling with like a bar and restaurant. So I think my next big challenge that I'm open to any advice, you know, on is retail space. You know, I mean that comes down to employees and you know keeping it stocked and managing my time at the shop, you know. And I mean there's so many things swirling around in my head right now of like, oh man, I've never, you know, never gone this route before. I've never been in retail, so and run a business basically, you know, it's almost two businesses in a sense.
Yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
that's where I am right now, like open to any advice. And I don't know, this is not even a question, but
What's the
that's kind of where I'm
approach?
at now. Yeah, like what, you know,
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
advice
Well,
on
let me
that, you
ask you
know.
this. What is Jacksonville like pretty, is it well off town or is it like middle income?
It's kind of up and coming. You know, there's a lot of momentum going on right now. New businesses coming in, lots of
Is it,
traffic downtown.
yeah.
But again, it's a small, you know, smaller place. But it's
So I
really
saw
starting to
15,000
attract
people.
15 to 20,000. Yeah, but it's really starting to attract some people from out of town. You know,
Like to move there,
definitely to move there, visiting, yeah, and things like that.
visiting.
Yeah, kind of all of the
Yeah.
above, really.
So I think one thing that you could do is just an idea. I mean, if it's like you said, a bar, restaurant, and a showroom,
That's right. Yep.
I mean, you really have the opportunity to, I don't know if they have like a First Fridays type thing or like an art week or like a design week or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
Like you can make your business the center of design and culture and entertainment, and like bill it as that, right?
Yeah.
and
That's a
and
great
what
idea.
and then um with the restaurant and bar, there's opportunities to, you know, I hope you're vertically integrating everything. So like you're making all the tables, you're making all the countertops,
Yes.
you're doing all of that sort of stuff.
Yes. So
So
the
everything should be branded with Forrest
exactly.
Design Co. right there.
So yeah, so the restaurant is called Food and Table, and all the tables are going to be all unique, all for sale at like even a floor price. So they might potentially rotate through
Yeah,
over
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But yeah, coffee hangout spot, coffee tables, end tables, bar tops, all of
So
the
I
above.
I would I would look at it almost like so I think one of the first calls you should do is to have you should be speaking to like an event producer, marketing person, an event planner, like have that person be part of your team,
Okay.
because there's like, this is a kind of like a big deal, right? Like you
Huge deal for me.
could you could like be the event venue in town.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you're the event venue, so that's weddings, birthday parties, corporate functions, like corporate retreats. And if it's all there and everything's for sale, That's one thing. That's one angle.
Sure.
Another
Yeah.
angle could be is, like interior design week or architecture week, and you just
Ah,
invite people, you invite all these people to you since you have the space, and you like, and so like even like once a quarter, you could be like, I am I am releasing a new collection. So you have an
Steve, I
event just
love
for
that
that.
idea, man. Love
You
that.
know what I mean? And that's it.
Yeah.
Like literally, you have an event venue, and you should be the
Yeah.
most popular. I always tell people this: we're not in the furniture business. You know what business we're in?
What's
We're in
that?
the audience building business. That's
Yeah.
it.
Very true. Yeah.
Like, why do you think I make a podcast every week?
Hmm.
Because I'm building an audience, right? And
Sure.
everybody, a lot of people listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I consistently show up every Thursday. There's a new episode, right?
For
And so
sure.
for you, for your business, if you have a space or you desire to have a space, it's not about selling furniture. It's about getting everybody in your town, in your local area to come and see you,
Yeah.
period.
For sure.
Right. I
Yeah.
think you also have an opportunity to like, I mean, again, uh, there, if you could find a local mill and start getting some of their stuff,
Mhm.
and then treat the showroom like it's a curated gallery, like, oh, these are my partners, I these are my locally sourced partners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um and then it's like, even listen, it's still local if it's 2-3 hours away, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah. 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 For
like,
sure.
and and I know somebody, I know a mill in Dallas that you can talk to. Like, there's people in Houston. There's lots of people that you can have a relationship with, and
Yeah. For sure.
you could be that person there. Even if you
Man.
want to take an annex of what you're doing and just sell slabs in the back. So then you
Yeah.
start building a community of woodworkers around you.
That was kind of a goal as well. Potentially get some slabs in there. I mean, yeah, this business goes a little deeper than just a wood shop for me. Like, I mean, it really is. The goal was to get downtown and build a culture of some sort. So I'm all about that, man. That's
I
great
love that
advice.
stuff, man. That stuff is like, I mean, I've been doing these Woodpreneur meetups, so I've been traveling around.
Yeah.
I went to Dallas, I went to Denver, I went to Indianapolis. I'm doing one in Chicago where I live, and then I'm doing one in San Diego. I'm gonna do 5. And awesome thing about it is like 30 to 60 people show up each time, right?
That's
So
awesome.
just imagine
Yeah.
if you could do that with all of the big businesses, all of the entrepreneurs, all
Yeah.
of the executives, all of the investors in your town. Like, literally just come up with different groups of people, and then just start, before you even start building. I don't know if you have started building or renovating yet, but like, literally
Just got it.
start building those relationships now.
For
There's an
sure.
expression that's like, dig your well before you actually need the water. Like, you need to
Yeah.
dig your well now.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like, okay, Friday is coming up, maybe Friday is a little bit of a slow day, let me call 5 or 10 people. That's it.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
call and just introduce myself.
For sure. Love it, man. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So tell everybody what's your website and your, oh well, first of all, was that helpful and useful?
That was amazing. I mean, I love the ideas about, like interior design, week or day. And yeah, for sure. Love it. Taking it all to heart, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell everybody, any last bit of parting advice for the Woodpreneur community?
I guess my biggest piece of advice is, stick to your guns, stick to what you enjoy, what you believe in. If it's quality that you believe in, don't put anything bad out there. If it's, you know, that's kind of what's worked for me. And I think if you really do what you enjoy doing, it shows, in your products, and it shows with your customers. Man, I really think your customers can tell if you enjoy doing what you're doing, and I
Yeah.
think that ultimately helps you build your business, and it, creates a happy, good, thriving space.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And so how can people reach out? What's your website, Instagram?
Yeah. So website is forrestdesignco.com. Two R's on
Two
that
R's.
Forrest. Yeah. It's so my son's name is Forrest. So yeah, two R's on that Forrest. And then kind of the same with all the social media, Instagram, Forrest Design Co as well. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Bud, thank you so much for taking the time to share
Oh
your
my goodness,
story.
likewise. Yeah.
Super excited to share your story, and I'm glad that we were able to connect.
Me too, man. Super good meeting you. Yeah, honor, man. Super pleased. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks so much for listening to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood, flooring, and sawmill industry. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating and review. You can also tap into our community by visiting woodpreneurlife.com. Once again, that's woodpreneurlife.com.